In the soft glow of twilight, Emma sat alone in her modest living room, a space filled with relics of happier times and the weight of unspoken sorrow. The walls, adorned with faded photographs and delicate mementos, bore silent witness to a life steeped in both beauty and heartache. Outside, the evening sun filtered through lace curtains, splashing golden hues across the room, yet its warmth did little to ease the chill that had settled in her heart. Resting in her lap was a time-worn photo album, its brittle pages holding memories that danced between joy and pain. With trembling fingers, Emma traced the outline of a faded picture, a little girl with sparkling eyes and a radiant smile. That precious image was of Sophie, her beloved daughter, whose life had been tragically cut short one fateful day at the beach. It had been a sunlit afternoon filled with laughter and carefree delight when the unthinkable occurred. Sophie, only 3 years old and the very embodiment of innocence, had vanished amidst the crashing waves and scattered footprints in the sand. The ensuing moments were a blur of panic and despair, calls echoing against the sound of a relentless tide, and the frantic scrambling of adults desperate to reclaim what was lost. In that devastating instant, Emma's world had shattered into 1,000 irreparable pieces. Every detail of that day, the salty tang of the sea, the distant cries for help, the feeling of helplessness, was seared into her memory, a constant reminder of what had been stolen from her. Night after night, as darkness draped over the silent streets, Emma would sit by her window and murmur into the void, "Sophie, wherever you are, I'm coming for you." The night air carried her whispered prayers to unknown corners of the universe. In those quiet hours, the room seemed to swell with the echoes of a past that refused to be forgotten. Every cherished trinket, a tiny dress, a hand-drawn picture, even the small pair of sandals by the door, spoke volumes of a love that was both fierce and fragile. These relics were not mere objects, they were the silent guardians of memories, testaments to a bond that death itself could not sever.
Amidst the lingering sorrow, Tere flickered a stupborn ember of hope.
Emma clung to the possibility that Sophie might still be alive, somewhere out there waiting to be found. The hope was bittersweet, a fragile light in an otherwise dark existence, but it propelled her forward each day. Even as time marched relentlessly on, the promise of reunion lent her strength. In the interplay of light and shadow, Emma found solace, believing that love, like the sun's rays that broke through the gloom each morning, would one day lead her back to the daughter she had lost. That evening, as the last vestiges of sunlight faded into the night, Emma closed her eyes and allowed herself a moment of vulnerability. In her dreams, Sophie's laughter filled the silence and her tiny hand reached out to clasp Emma's, assuring her that the bond between them remained unbroken. And in that quiet, aching solitude, Emma vowed that no matter how long the search, no matter how deep the sorrow, she would never abandon the hope of finding her child once more. 2 years had passed since the heartbreaking disappearance of Sophie, and yet the void in Emma's heart remained as profound as ever. Determined not to be swallowed entirely by grief, Emma resolved to offer her boundless love to others who, too, had suffered loss. With cautious optimism, she began volunteering at a local orphanage, a place that, despite its sorrowful purpose, brimmed with the promise of new beginnings. It was there, amid the bittersweet echoes of laughter and tears, that Emma first encountered Noah. Noah was a quiet, thoughtful boy whose eyes carried an unspoken history of pain and hope. He had been placed in the orphanage following circumstances that left him scarred and shy, a child adrift in a sea of uncertainty. From the moment their paths crossed, Emma felt an inexplicable connection, as if the tender void left by Sophie was reaching out for solace in this fragile new life. During one crisp autumn afternoon, while the leaves outside danced to the tune of a gentle wind, Noah approached Emma with a hesitant smile and an innocent question, "Will you come back tomorrow?" Those simple words held the weight of 1,000 unspoken hopes. Emma's heart swelled with a mix of tenderness and determination. "As many tomorrows as you'll have me," she replied, her voice soft yet resolute. Over the following weeks, their bond deepened with every shared story and gentle laugh. Noah, though reticent at first, began to open up about his own losses and the longing for a family he had never truly known. Emma listened intently, offering him the warmth and unconditional love that had once filled the void in her own life. In the days that followed, Emma's presence at the orphanage transformed not only Noah's life but also her own. Where once she had been haunted by the ghost of a past she could not reclaim, she now found moments of healing in the smiles and playful chatter of children. Noah's quiet resilience and gentle nature rekindled a spark of hope within her, a reminder that love could be reborn even in the midst of sorrow. Together, they shared long walks in the garden, quiet conversations over cups of tea, and countless moments of simple joy that wove new threads into the tapestry of their lives. Yet, despite the growing closeness, Emma always felt an undercurrent of bittersweet melancholy, a reminder that nothing could ever truly replace Sophie. Instead, Noah became a beacon of hope, not a substitute, but a living testament to the resilience of the human heart. As seasons changed and the orphanage buzzed with life, Emma realized that her capacity for love was boundless. She had learned that healing could come in unexpected forms, and that by giving love freely, one could slowly mend even the most shattered soul. In the quiet hours of twilight, as Emma tucked Noah into bed with a gentle lullaby, she often gazed out the window and whispered a silent promise to the night, that she would continue to love, to search, and to believe in miracles. For in every shared smile and every tender moment, she found the strength to carry on, knowing that hope was not lost, but merely waiting to bloom again. Years had woven change into the fabric of life at the orphanage, and Noah, once the timid child who had sought Emma's gentle embrace, had grown into a confident, compassionate young man. With his shy eyes now sparkling with determination and his voice carrying a quiet strength, Noah stepped into adulthood, leaving behind the uncertainties of his past and embracing a future filled with promise. It was during one ordinary evening, when the sky blushed in hues of twilight and the gentle hum of daily life lulled the world into calm, that Noah called Emma with a tremor of excitement in his voice. "Mom, I have something wonderful to tell you. I'm getting married." Emma's heart leaped at the news, a mixture of joy and nervous anticipation flooding her senses. The idea of a wedding, a celebration of love and new beginnings, was a balm to the wounds of years gone by. Yet, amid the exuberance of the announcement, a small thread of curiosity tugged at her mind. Noah had spoken little about the woman who had captured his heart, a mysterious presence in his life for over a year now. Though he had mentioned her in passing and had even described her with warmth and reverence, he had never once shown Emma a picture or spoken in detail about the woman who would soon become part of their family. That very night, as Emma sat in her familiar softly lit living room, surrounded by the relics of memories both bitter and sweet, she replayed Noah's words in her mind. In them, she sensed not only the thrill of impending joy but also a subtle unspoken mystery. Her thoughts wandered to the woman who had ignited such deep passion in Noah. Who was she? What was her past? And more importantly, could there be a connection, however faint, to the daughter Emma had lost so long ago? Emma's mind was awash with questions as she recalled the many faces of love that had crossed her life. The orphanage had taught her that every heart, no matter how battered by loss, could love again. Yet, the specter of Sophie still lingered, an ever-present reminder of a love that had been abruptly severed. Perhaps, Emma wondered, the universe had orchestrated Noah's love story as a form of healing, a way to mend the broken pieces of her heart by welcoming new love into their shared journey. The days that followed were a flurry of wedding preparations and heartfelt conversations. Noah was a picture of nervous excitement, his eyes alight with anticipation as he spoke of his future with a woman named Olivia. Olivia, as Noah described her, possessed a kind spirit and a quiet strength that seemed to mirror his own. Emma listened intently, finding solace in Noah's genuine happiness, even as a small, inexplicable unease began to creep into her thoughts. Though she chose to trust her son's judgment, Emma could not shake the feeling that there was more to Olivia's story than met the eye. Every loving detail Noah shared about her was accompanied by a delicate ambiguity, a subtle hint that perhaps Olivia carried a secret of her own. And so, beneath the joyous preparations for the wedding, a quiet determination took root in Emma's heart. She would, after the celebrations, seek to understand the true identity of the woman who was about to become part of their family. As the announcement of the wedding spread like a gentle breeze through their lives, Emma felt both excitement and trepidation. The promise of new beginnings intertwined with the memories of old sorrows, creating a tapestry of emotions that was as complex as it was beautiful. In that delicate balance of hope and uncertainty, Emma knew that love, messy, mysterious, and enduring, would once again lead them into a future that held the possibility of healing, redemption, and perhaps, answers to long-held questions. The long-awaited wedding day arrived amid an air of delicate anticipation and quiet celebration. Early in the morning, the sky was painted with soft pastels that gave way to a brilliant blue, reflecting the hope and renewal felt by all. Emma, dressed in a subtle yet elegant gown, moved slowly through the preparations with a mixture of maternal pride and guarded curiosity. Every detail of the venue, from the gentle hum of a string quartet to the carefully arranged wildflowers, seemed imbued with the promise of new beginnings, yet Emma's heart still held echoes of loss. As the ceremony unfolded in an enchanting garden bathed in sunlight, Emma watched Noah stand at the altar with an air of confident pride. His eyes shone with happiness as he awaited the arrival of his bride. When the soft strains of music signaled the approach of the procession, Emma's breath caught. From the winding path emerged Olivia, a vision of grace and warmth. Her smile radiated a gentle kindness, and as she moved, every step seemed imbued with quiet purpose. But as Emma stepped forward to greet her, her eyes were drawn to a subtle detail that sent a shiver down her spine, a small crescent-shaped birthmark on Olivia's wrist. In that fleeting moment, the mark evoked a memory so deeply buried that Emma could scarcely believe it. It was identical to one that she had cherished in her mind as belonging to Sophie. Time appeared to slow as Emma reached out to shake Olivia's hand. For an instant, the world around her blurred into insignificance, and the past and present merged in a swirl of emotions. In that silent heartbeat, Emma's mind reeled with questions. Was this a mere coincidence, or could it be that the woman standing before her held the secret of a lost daughter? Yet, as the ceremony continued with laughter, vows, and tearful smiles, Emma concealed her inner turmoil behind a mask of gracious composure. Throughout the day, as guests celebrated with joy and music filled the air, Emma found herself repeatedly drawn to Olivia. Every interaction, every shared glance, stirred a cauldron of emotions: hope, disbelief, and an undercurrent of sorrow. In quiet moments away from the festivities, Emma's thoughts wandered back to the days when Sophie's laughter once filled her life. The birthmark, though small, was a powerful symbol that kindled an ember of suspicion within her heart. As the sun dipped lower in the sky, casting long shadows over the celebratory gathering, Emma retreated into a quieter corner of the garden. There, beneath an ancient oak tree, she allowed herself to ponder the unspoken mysteries of fate. In the gentle rustling of leaves and the soft murmur of distant conversations, she resolved to learn more about Olivia's past, a past that might hold a key to reopening a chapter she had long mourned. The wedding day, intended to be a celebration of new love, had unwittingly stirred a torrent of old memories and unresolved questions. Emma knew that while the joy of the occasion was real, the shadow of her past lingered close at hand. As she watched Noah and Olivia share a tender moment beneath a canopy of twinkling lights, Emma silently promised herself that the truth, however painful it might be, would eventually come to light. And so, with a heavy heart and a spirit tempered by years of longing, she prepared herself for the journey that lay ahead, a journey to uncover secrets that might forever alter the tapestry of their lives. In the days following the wedding, the celebratory haze that had enveloped Emma's heart began to clear, replaced by a persistent need for answers. Every moment since she had first noticed the distinctive crescent-shaped birthmark on Olivia's wrist, Emma had wrestled with a quiet, relentless suspicion. Could this mark be a sign of a past that she had believed was lost forever? The memory of Sophie, her laughter, her gentle spirit, had been a constant companion in Emma's dreams, and now it seemed as though fate was offering her a chance at reconciliation with the past. Determined to unearth the truth, Emma resolved to embark on a journey of quiet investigation. Late one crisp evening, as the moon cast silver beams through her window, Emma gathered her thoughts in the solitude of her study. Surrounded by old letters and photographs, she began to retrace the fragments of memories that had defined her life. The image of Sophie, so vivid in her mind, was now inexplicably intertwined with Olivia's gentle features. Emma couldn't shake the feeling that these two lives, seemingly disparate, might in fact be connected by destiny. Over the following days, Emma found herself watching Olivia more closely at family gatherings and during casual visits. She noted the similarities in the way Olivia moved, the softness of her eyes, and that unmistakable birthmark that seemed almost too significant to be a mere coincidence. With each passing encounter, Emma's heart grew heavier with the weight of unanswered questions. She began discreetly inquiring among mutual acquaintances, gently probing into Olivia's childhood and the circumstances surrounding her adoption. The answers, however, were shrouded in ambiguity, hinting at secrets long kept hidden. Unable to contain her growing anxiety any longer, Emma reached out to Olivia one quiet afternoon under the pretense of a friendly chat. In a secluded corner of a sunlit garden, where the noise of the world felt distant, Emma broached the subject delicately. "Olivia," she began, her voice trembling with both hope and trepidation, "there is something I need to ask you about your past. I've noticed a birthmark on your wrist, and it seems very familiar. Have you ever been told anything about it?" Olivia's eyes widened slightly as she searched Emma's face for meaning. With a soft, hesitant tone, she admitted that she had been told it was a mark from the day she was found on a lonely beach, a detail that had always seemed odd to her. Emma listened intently, her heart pounding as each word deepened the mystery. The mention of a beach stirred long-buried memories of that fateful day when Sophie had vanished. The conversation, though gentle, left Emma with more questions than answers. Who was Olivia really? Could it be that the child she had lost had somehow found her way back to her through this young woman? As twilight settled and the garden grew quiet, Emma felt a surge of resolve. The truth was out there, hidden beneath layers of time and circumstance, and she was determined to uncover it. With a mixture of fear and hope, she vowed that she would leave no stone unturned. That night, as she lay awake listening to the soft rustling of leaves outside her window, Emma silently promised herself that the mystery of the birthmark, and its connection to her lost Sophie, would soon be revealed, no matter the cost. Haunted by the lingering questions of Olivia's mysterious past, Emma knew that to unearth the truth she had to speak directly with those who held the key to Olivia's origins. With her heart pounding and determination setting her every step, Emma arranged to meet with Olivia's adoptive parents, Margaret and Henry, a kindly couple whose gentle demeanor masked the hidden chapters of their shared history. The meeting was set in a quiet cafe on a rainy afternoon, the soft patter of raindrops providing a somber backdrop to what promised to be an emotional conversation. As Emma stepped into the warm, softly lit room of the cafe, she could feel the weight of her own memories pressing against her chest. The aroma of fresh coffee mingled with the muted chatter of other patrons, but all Emma could focus on was the need for answers. When Margaret and Henry greeted her with cautious smiles, Emma sensed both warmth and an undercurrent of guardedness, a subtle indication that they, too, bore scars of the past. After initial pleasantries and polite conversation, Emma steered the discussion toward the topic that had haunted her. "I hope you won't mind me asking," she began gently, "but I'm curious about Olivia's early years. I've heard she was found on a beach when she was very young. Is that true?" The question hung in the air, laden with the unspoken weight of Emma's own painful history. Margaret's eyes met Emma's, and for a moment, silence reigned as if time itself were waiting for the truth to be spoken. With a deep, tremulous sigh, Margaret confessed, "Yes, it's true. We found Olivia alone on a beach when she was just 3 years old. She was wrapped in a blanket, with no explanation or any indication of who she belonged to." Henry nodded in agreement, his voice soft and regretful as he added, "We did everything we could to locate her family, but no one ever came forward. It was as if she had been abandoned to fate." Each word seemed to echo with the sadness of a lost opportunity, and Emma felt a familiar ache tighten in her chest, a blend of empathy and a personal connection she had long tried to bury. As the conversation deepened, Emma delicately mentioned the birthmark, a small crescent shape that had triggered memories of Sophie. "I noticed something, a mark on Olivia's wrist. It looks remarkably similar to a mark I remember from someone very dear to me." Margaret's eyes widened with a mixture of surprise and sorrow. "I'm sorry," she whispered, "I never knew that detail could mean so much." The revelation sent shivers through Emma, reinforcing the notion that fate might have woven their lives together in ways she had never imagined. For the rest of the meeting, the conversation danced around both hope and heartbreak. Emma listened intently as Margaret and Henry recounted the early days of caring for Olivia, a period filled with uncertainty, compassion, and a quiet resilience. Yet, amid the recollections of a fragile beginning, Emma's mind raced with possibilities. Could this gentle child be more than just a young soul in need of love? Could she be the long-lost Sophie, the daughter Emma had mourned all these years? Leaving the cafe that rainy afternoon, Emma felt a turbulent mix of emotions. The conversation had provided fragments of truth, but had also opened new avenues of inquiry. With each step, she resolved that the mystery would not remain hidden. That evening, as she sat in the solitude of her study, Emma meticulously pieced together the details from her meeting with Margaret and Henry, determined that the next step in her journey toward the truth was inevitable. In the wake of her conversation with Margaret and Henry, Emma found herself caught in a whirlwind of hope, anxiety, and lingering uncertainty. The fragments of Olivia's past, especially the revelation of her beachside discovery and that uncanny birthmark, had coalesced into an inescapable suspicion that Olivia might be the child Emma had once lost, the irreplaceable Sophie. Yet, as emotions surged like a tide, Emma knew that memories alone could not serve as proof. She needed a way to dispel the fog of uncertainty once and for all. And so, with a heavy heart and trembling resolve, Emma decided to ask Olivia for a DNA test. The request was not made lightly. One chilly afternoon, when the world outside was wrapped in the quiet gray of winter, Emma sat down with Olivia in a serene corner of the family home. The soft ticking of a clock punctuated the silence between them as Emma's eyes, filled with a mixture of hope and sorrow, met Olivia's uncertain gaze. "Olivia," she began slowly, "there is something very personal I must ask. I need to know if you might be connected to a part of my past that I have never been able to let go. Would you consider taking a DNA test for me?" For a moment, time seemed to suspend. Olivia's face reflected confusion and an emerging understanding of the magnitude of Emma's request. Her voice, quiet and tentative, eventually broke the silence. "I've always wondered about my origins, about where I truly come from," she admitted. In that vulnerable confession, Emma sensed a shared longing, a desire to piece together a puzzle that had haunted both of them for so long. Noah, who had been quietly listening from the doorway, felt his heart clench with a mix of shock and dread. His voice, unsteady with emotion, tried to interject, "Mom, are you saying you think Olivia might be?" His words trailed off, unable to capture the painful implication of his mother's query. Emma's eyes filled with tears as she replied softly, "I don't know, Noah. But I need to find out the truth." The decision to proceed with the DNA test set in motion a series of quiet, tense days. Arrangements were made discreetly, and the sample was collected with a clinical detachment that belied the emotional tempest swirling within Emma. Each day that passed felt interminable, a blend of anxious waiting and poignant reminiscence of a daughter she had longed for, a daughter whose presence had been a silent ghost in every corner of her heart. In the quiet solitude of those waiting days, Emma spent long hours revisiting old memories and piecing together the subtle clues that had led her to this moment. The home, once filled with echoes of unspoken grief, now hummed with a tentative hope, a hope that the answers might bridge the gap between past and present. Late at night, Emma would whisper to the darkness, "Please let the truth be kind," as if pleading with the fates for a miracle. When the day finally arrived for the results to be revealed, Emma's heart pounded like a drum in her chest. In a sterile consultation room, surrounded by the hum of machines and the quiet professionalism of the medical staff, the doctor read the results aloud. With each word, time seemed to slow, and the truth emerged from the shadows. The voice that delivered the news was gentle yet firm, confirming that Olivia was indeed genetically linked to Emma, a link that transcended mere coincidence, binding them in a way Emma had never dared hope for. In that moment of revelation, tears streamed down Emma's face as she realized that her long-lost Sophie might have found her way home after all. In the sterile quiet of the consultation room, the finality of the doctor's words reverberated through the space like a long-awaited prayer answered. Emma's heart trembled with both relief and apprehension as she listened intently. The results were unequivocal. Olivia was her biological daughter. The revelation felt surreal, a collision of past and present that shattered years of guarded hope and sorrow. For a moment, the world around Emma seemed to dissolve into a haze of disbelief and raw emotion, each word etching itself into the depths of her soul. Olivia, who had been sitting silently beside Emma, suddenly broke down in tears. The news struck her like a tidal wave, washing away the remnants of uncertainty and leaving behind an overwhelming clarity. "You're my mother?" she choked out, her voice trembling as if testing the fragile bridge between the life she had known and the truth of her origins. In that instant, the air between them vibrated with the unspoken understanding that a missing piece of both their hearts had finally been found. Emma reached out with gentle, weathered hands, drawing Olivia into a tender embrace. The reunion was a silent symphony of shared pain and unexpected joy, a moment that blended sorrow with the promise of healing. In that embrace, years of grief, longing, and unanswered questions converged into a single poignant instant. Emma's tears mingled with Olivia's as they clung to one another, their hearts resonating with the bittersweet melody of rediscovered love. For Noah, the revelation was both a relief and a source of new, unexpected anguish. He had always known that Emma's heart was vast enough to hold love for more than one child, yet the implications of the revelation left him reeling. In quiet moments after the consultation, Noah found himself lost in thought, grappling with the shifting dynamics of a family he had thought he understood. The realization that his beloved Emma now had another daughter, a daughter he had never known, stirred feelings of jealousy, confusion, and a deep-seated fear of being replaced. Yet, amid these turbulent emotions, Noah also sensed a profound truth, that family, in its truest form, was not bound solely by blood, but by the enduring bonds of love and acceptance. As the days passed, the initial shock gave way to tentative healing. Family gatherings that once carried an undercurrent of restrained sadness now began to pulse with the fragile energy of new beginnings. Emma, with an unyielding resolve born of years of loss and relentless hope, set about weaving Olivia into the fabric of their everyday lives. In the quiet corners of the home, as the sun dipped below the horizon and bathed the rooms in a gentle glow, Emma would share stories of Sophie, the daughter she had once lost, whose memory now lived on in the form of Olivia's warm smile and kind eyes. In these shared moments, the weight of the past slowly began to lift. Emma and Olivia, bound by the unspoken thread of destiny, discovered in one another a sense of belonging that neither had dared to dream was possible. The truth had not only reunited a mother with her long-lost daughter, but it had also opened the door to healing, a promise that even the deepest wounds could eventually mend through the tender power of love. The atmosphere in the household had gradually shifted from cautious hope to fragile joy, yet beneath the surface of this newfound unity, an undercurrent of disquiet began to stir. As Olivia slowly came to terms with her origins, the implications of the revelation started to take shape in ways that no one could have foreseen. One crisp evening, as the family gathered in the softly lit dining room for a quiet dinner, Olivia's expression grew troubled, and a heavy silence fell over the table. In a hushed tone that barely carried above the sound of a distant clock ticking, Olivia hesitantly broached the subject that had been gnawing at her heart. If you're my mother," she began, her voice wavering as she glanced between Emma and Noah, "then what does that make Noah? Am I his sister?" The question, though softly spoken, reverberated with a devastating finality that seemed to shatter the delicate peace that had taken root in their home. Noah's face, usually so open and warm, went pale in an instant. For years, he had grown up knowing Emma as his unwavering source of love and stability, never suspecting that the woman who had nurtured him might also be the key to unlocking another lost part of her own heart. The mere suggestion that he could be related to Olivia in a way that challenged the very foundation of their relationship sent shockwaves through him. His eyes widened with a mixture of disbelief and horror, and he struggled to find words to counter the creeping terror of that possibility. Emma, caught between the maternal instinct to comfort both her children and the mounting confusion that threatened to unravel her carefully rebuilt world, felt as if the ground beneath her was shifting. Her mind raced, revisiting old memories and questioning every quiet moment that had led to this heart-wrenching inquiry. The thought that the daughter she had found might be entwined with Noah in ways that blurred the lines of familial love was too devastating to bear. Tears welled in her eyes as she reached out, trying to bridge the widening gap of fear and misunderstanding. In the tense silence that followed, Olivia's eyes filled with tears as she realized the magnitude of her own feelings. "I don't understand," she whispered, her voice breaking with anguish. "I thought I was just searching for who I was, not tearing apart the family that I've come to love." The raw vulnerability in her tone stirred something deep within Noah, whose own turmoil was mirrored in his silent, anguished gaze. For a long, excruciating moment, no one spoke. The question of identity and belonging hung heavy in the air, threatening to shatter the delicate bonds that held them together. In that painful pause, each family member was forced to confront the possibility that the truth, though long awaited, might come with consequences far more complex than anyone had imagined. Emma's heart ached at the thought of losing the fragile harmony they had fought so hard to build. Yet, as the silent minutes stretched on, a single desperate truth emerged. They all needed clarity, no matter how much it might hurt. In the dim light of that fateful evening, the seeds of a devastating realization had been sown, a realization that would challenge everything they thought they knew about love, family, and the ties that bind. In the aftermath of that agonizing dinner, the house was filled with a heavy, almost suffocating silence. A silence broken only by whispered reassurances and the quiet rustle of shifting emotions. Noah, still reeling from the implication that he might be Olivia's brother, felt a mounting pressure to set the record straight. Determined to restore the balance that had been so abruptly upended, he gathered the courage to address the painful question that had plagued them all.
One cool morning. Es Sonnlicht filtert softly trug se window and painted se room in gentle hues. Noah sat down with Emma and Olivia in the quiet living room.
His voice, though trembling, carried a conviction born of deep introspection. "Olivia," he began, his eyes searching hers for understanding, "I need you to know something important. I was adopted. Emma has always been my mother in every way that matters, but we share no blood." The words hung in the air, charged with a mixture of relief and sorrow. For a moment, time seemed to stand still. Olivia's eyes widened as she absorbed the revelation, a truth that dismantled the painful possibility of shared blood and replaced it with a complex tapestry of chosen family and unconditional love. Emma reached out, placing a comforting hand over Olivia's, her own eyes glistening with both tears and relief. "You must know, my dear, that the love I have for you is as real and boundless as the love I have always given to Noah," she whispered, her voice trembling with both emotion and conviction. Noah continued, his tone earnest and gentle. "I know this is a lot to take in, and I'm so sorry if my past has caused you pain or confusion. But please understand, our family is built on more than just genetics. It's built on the love, care, and shared memories that have made us who we are." His words, though simple, carried the weight of years of uncertainty and a deep longing to preserve the bonds that had been formed in the crucible of life's hardships. Olivia's emotions, which had teetered on the edge of despair moments before, began to settle into a cautious hope. The revelation that Noah was not her biological brother but a child of circumstance, raised by the woman who had given him unwavering love, slowly began to mend the gaping wound in her heart. With tentative steps, she embraced the truth, realizing that the ties of family were chosen as much as they were given by fate. In that tender moment of clarity, the room filled with a sense of reconciliation. The storm of doubts and fears that had once threatened to tear them apart was replaced by a fragile but real understanding. Emma, Noah, and Olivia sat together in quiet unity, each of them processing the revelation in their own way, a mixture of relief, remorse, and a renewed commitment to the family they had forged together. It was a turning point, one that redefined the boundaries of love and reshaped the future in ways they could scarcely imagine. The shock of the revelation gradually gave way to healing conversations and tearful confessions, as each family member learned to navigate the intricate web of emotions that the truth had laid bare. In time, the dark clouds of misunderstanding began to part, revealing a horizon filled with the promise of forgiveness, acceptance, and a love that was deeper for having weathered the storm. In the weeks and months that followed the explosive revelations, a gentle transformation began to take shape within the family. The raw pain and confusion that had once threatened to splinter their bond gradually gave way to a tender reconciliation, a realization that love, in its purest form, could endure even the most tumultuous of truths. Emma watched over Noah and Olivia as they navigated their new reality with a mixture of cautious optimism and fierce determination, each day forging deeper connections between hearts that had weathered so much. The house, once filled with the heavy silence of unspoken doubts, began to hum with renewed energy. Mornings were spent sharing quiet conversations over breakfast, while evenings found the trio huddled together in the living room, their laughter mingling with memories of both loss and hope. Emma took every opportunity to reaffirm that her love was infinite, a love that transcended the boundaries of blood and was instead defined by the experiences, sacrifices, and unbreakable bonds that had been nurtured over time. Noah, whose heart had been burdened with the fear of losing his identity and the family he cherished, gradually found solace in the clarity of truth. In his own gentle way, he began to open up about his adoption, sharing stories of his past with Olivia in candid, heartfelt conversations. "It doesn't matter that we're not related by blood," he would say softly, "because the love we share is the real bond that defines us." His words, imbued with sincerity and vulnerability, resonated deeply with Olivia, who had long battled the uncertainty of her own identity. For Olivia, the journey toward acceptance was not without its struggles. There were moments when the weight of her past and the revelations of the present pressed upon her, threatening to drown out the light of newfound hope. Yet, in those moments of darkness, she found comfort in Noah's gentle reassurance and Emma's unwavering support. Together, they began to craft a narrative of resilience, one in which love triumphed over confusion and where every scar told a story of survival and transformation. One particularly cool evening, as the three of them sat beneath a sky ablaze with the colors of dusk, Emma reached out to Noah and Olivia with a quiet certainty. "You are both my children," she murmured, her voice tender yet resolute. "Our family isn't defined by conventional ties, but by the love we've shared, the hardships we've overcome, and the hope we continue to nurture." In that moment, as the twilight deepened into night, a palpable sense of unity settled over them, a promise that no matter what challenges lay ahead, their bond would remain unbroken. Through long walks in the park, shared meals filled with laughter, and countless small gestures of affection, the family slowly learned to embrace their new identity. It was an identity not rooted in blood alone, but in the myriad ways they had chosen to love one another. In this space of acceptance, even the ghosts of the past, Sophie's memory and the sorrow of a long separation, became transformed into symbols of the resilience and enduring nature of true love. And so, as seasons changed and the tapestry of their lives grew richer with each passing day, the family discovered that love, no matter how tested, was capable of healing even the deepest wounds. Their shared journey, marked by unexpected twists and profound revelations, became a testament to the unyielding strength of the human heart, a love that, despite all odds, endured. With the storms of the past finally giving way to the soft promise of tomorrow, Emma stood at the threshold of a new chapter, a chapter where hope, redemption, and the enduring power of love reshaped the contours of her life. The family's struggles had not been in vain. Instead, they had forged an unbreakable bond that transcended the complexities of fate. In the gentle light of a new dawn, Emma, Noah, and Olivia embraced the promise of renewal, their hearts united by the lessons of loss and the triumph of healing. In the months that followed, life took on a quiet rhythm filled with both bittersweet memories and vibrant new moments. Emma watched with quiet pride as Olivia blossomed into a confident, compassionate woman, and as Noah's gentle strength continued to anchor the family through life's unpredictable tides. Their days were filled with shared breakfasts, laughter echoing in the hallways, and long meandering walks that provided time for reflection and the forging of deeper bonds. Every moment was a celebration of resilience, a reminder that even in the midst of heartache, there could be beauty, healing, and the promise of new beginnings. As autumn leaves began to fall, painting the world in hues of amber and gold, the family gathered for a modest celebration in their backyard. Under a starlit sky with soft music playing in the background and the gentle murmur of nature as their chorus, they made quiet promises to one another, a pledge to continue loving without reservation, to always seek truth even when it hurt, and to never let the shadows of the past dim the light of their shared future. For Emma, the journey that had begun with the aching loss of Sophie had come full circle. The daughter she had mourned for so long was now present before her in the gentle grace of Olivia, a living reminder that love, though sometimes hidden beneath layers of sorrow and mystery, could indeed find its way home. As she looked at Noah and Olivia, each a testament to the unpredictable, yet beautiful tapestry of life, Emma's heart overflowed with gratitude and hope. In that moment, as the soft glow of lanterns illuminated their smiling faces and the promise of a new day shimmered on the horizon, the family embraced their new reality. It was a reality built not on the confines of conventional ties, but on the boundless, ever-renewing power of love, a love that had weathered storms, transcended pain, and above all, paved the way for a future filled with hope, forgiveness, and the endless possibility of new beginnings. Thank you for watching until the end. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Your support means the world and helps bring more amazing stories to life. See you in the next one.